Hi, and welcome back to Armchair Pundits. This week, you've got myself, James, you've got Leon. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. As you know, an eventful game for us. But yeah, we'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah, it was a good game, but I think today was a perfect day for me, really and truly. Us winning, you drawing, happy days. So I've got no complaints on this side. But as your game was the big game of the weekend, we'll start with you guys. What's your initial thoughts? Are you happy? Are you disappointed? Or is it what you expected?
So obviously 2-2 at Emirates, can't argue with getting a result, especially we've had such a bad record we've had a bad record at Emirates. I think we won there twice since Arsenal have been there, and that once in the league and once in the cup. So you have to take a point whenever you can get it, especially with how we've been in the past. But I have to give credit where credit's due. The players played with a lot of guts like trying to play out the back, especially when you're under that kind of pressure. There were times where there was a few hairy moments where people got caught on the
Yeah.
ball a couple of times. Basuma won and Madison won, which gifted Arsenal with two really really good chances, but luckily they didn't take them. So yeah, very happy with the way that we responded to going behind in the game both times. The own goal from Romero from Saka's shot was a mistake between Udogi and Brennan Johnson. It was kind of Brennan Johnson's fault because he was tracking back, but what he
Yeah.
should have done was close Saka down. And all he did was he kind of ran past him, which allowed Saka to cut in and literally he got his shot off, and Romero didn't really sort his feet out considering the position that he was in. I think Gary Neville said, "Oh, he should have left it." But as a defender, when the
Yeah, you
ball's coming
can't.
towards you, it's very, very rare that you just go, "I'm just going to leave it." Especially if you're
Mm.
in the ice, if you're kind of blocking the goalkeeper's view as well, which was, could have been the case for Romero in that position. So I felt like he did have to deal with it, but he just didn't deal with it in the right way. His body
I,
position wasn't right for it.
I think what it is, Gary Neville said this before, and I think he should say this when he makes those kind of comments. He was instructed by Schmeichel, do not stick your leg out. If the ball's
Mm,
coming in, leave it alone. That's why for him it's easy for him to say to leave it because that's what he was instructed to do by his goalkeeper. Not many goalkeepers are going to say that.
no,
They're not.
and
They're
that's
not going to do that.
Schmeichel saying, "I will deal with it. I can see no matter
Yeah.
what." But then there's times where Schmeichel couldn't see, and he just, yeah, I don't know. So it's one of them. It's an own goal, and it did rattle Romero. You could see he was kind of
Yeah.
he's kind of a bit distraught about it. And Vicario tried to get his mind back in the game. He did have a few dodgy moments, but he recovered in the end. And I'll come to the next point further on. But yeah, the response from the team was great. I think for the first half an hour, it was pretty much all Arsenal. We were trying to play at the back. They had nullified, or they put us under the press, which stopped us from actually getting past the halfway line. So we had a couple of chances where we literally just played a long ball over the top, which caught them. They played a high line, so it caught them off guard with the balls that we played, and it actually gave us a chance for Brennan Johnson, which was an amazing save from Raya.
Oh
Although
yeah.
I do think Brennan Johnson should have
I was
done
gonna
better
say
with it.
that's not what you were saying at the time.
No, no, no. I do think he should have done. It was an amazing save, but he shouldn't even have been able to get there because I think it was almost like
It
a
was a double
double.
touch.
Yeah, it came off his own foot and ended up going in the middle of the goal rather than in the corner. So yeah, it was a good response, and then we saw what Madison done to Saka after Saka's little dartboard celebration. Basically set him to the shop, and we
Hmm.
managed to get to the byline, cut the ball back to Son, and that's how they finished off the post from Son. And so we went into half time. I'm thinking, boy, that's good. It's a good to go in at 1-1, especially as Arsenal had dominated the majority of the first half.
Yeah.
But I was happy with the way we had conducted ourselves, how we dealt with the pressure. We conceded a couple of chances, but there wasn't too many moments where I felt like Arsenal created so many amazing chances. Second half came out. Arsenal obviously trying to put a stamp on the game. They lost Rice to injury,
Yeah, calf,
which
innit?
yeah, which I think I don't know if it benefited us or them, but they brought Jorginho on, and
It definitely benefited you.
well, for that chance it did. But in terms of control of the game, Arsenal controlled the early part of the second half and ended up getting a goal
Mm.
from the penalty. So in your
Penalty or no
mind,
penalty?
if I'm being really honest, the laws of the game, it's a pen because the ball is on its way to goal. It's on its way to goal, but in my opinion, there was no way he could have done anything to get his hand out of the
Is
way
his
because
arm in
he
a
went
natural
to block
position?
it. It wasn't in an unnatural position because of the
Yes, in
way
a
that
natural
he
position
dived.
though.
Yeah.
Mm.
So he goes to dive and your arm is there. That's what happens, and the ball's hit his arm. But because the ball was on its way to the goal, it's difficult for the
But
ref not to give it.
but I think if you look at it, it's actually going. If he misses him, it's hitting Basuma's chest. So yes, it's going to goal, but it's going squarely on. I think I've only seen it a couple of times, but memory serves, it's not even going in the goal because it's going to hit Basuma's chest. So I get what you're saying with that regards. It's going towards goal, but it's not going in. I just think I don't know. It's
I
just
don't like it as a pen, if I'm
the
being
handball
honest.
rules is
I don't
rubbish.
like it as a pen, but it's just the way that the
Yeah,
rules are now. You once the ball's heading towards the goal, it's very difficult to say no to
yeah,
it in
yeah.
the way they've interpreted the rules now. So
Fair enough.
you have to take that again. It was Romero, and his day went from bad to worse. We went behind again, but the response was immediate. Pretty much,
23
Arsenal had
seconds?
something like that. Arsenal had possession of the ball, and Jorginho was trying to do a Basuma move, got caught by Madison. Madison stole it, and great decision by Madison because it was basically a 2-on-1, and he made sure the defender had almost committed to going towards him, pass it to Son. Son tucks it into the bottom corner, as calm as you like. Can't really argue with the finish, and it's 2-2. So for us, it was a great response again. And
Mm,
at that point, you felt like, if we play our cards right, we could steal something here.
mm.
But it's a London derby. There's a lot of touring and throwing. Then Madison gets injured, and that's kind
That
of
was it.
ended our game because
Yeah,
Postecoglou ended up taking off Madison and Son. I know why,
mm,
because obviously Son exert a lot of energy closing down the Arsenal defenders and the keeper, and spent a lot of energy. So he's brought off Son and he's brought off Madison because you don't want to risk him picking up a big injury, especially how key he's been to our season. And that pretty much ended our hopes of getting a winner, I think, because after that, it was all Arsenal and they had
yeah,
like
it was.
8 corners in a row or something stupid like that. It felt like there are so many corners and we defended them really, really well. I was happy with the way we managed to deal with the pressure playing at Emirates. I've seen us fold so many times at Emirates. So again, I was really, really impressed with how we dealt with the atmosphere, the occasion, and yeah, I have to be positive. I'll point at Arsenal going into another big game next week against you guys. So I'll take the 2-2 and hopefully we can build on it. It gives the players confidence, knowing that, this is the biggest test we've had. We should have had one against Man United. They didn't really show up because they haven't so far this season. But yeah, I'm happy with the point. So we move on.
Yeah, I think with all that analysis, I think the most important thing was it was a really good game.
Hmm.
It was actually a really good
Both teams
game.
want to play football. Most
Yeah.
of the time, Arsenal are playing football and we're trying to sit back and hold
No,
out.
no, you
With
played good football.
Conte, with Conte and with Mourinho
But in the past, you mean?
away in the
Oh,
past.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah, in the past. Okay, I was gonna say today it
when we
wasn't.
have no when we have Poch, obviously we tried to play football, but yeah, it
Mm,
was nice that we actually tried to play football, and there wasn't when we were soaking up pressure, we still were trying to maintain possession. You can see we ended up having more possession than Arsenal overall in the game, and that would never usually happen at Emirates for
yeah,
us.
and you've got to remember you're at the beginning of your process as well. You're
Yeah,
6 games in to what Um, Poch, Ange.
Post and
You're 6 games
made that
into.
mistake so far, just in the
No.
game.
You're what? 6 games into what Ange wants, and you have the benefit of no midweek games. As bad as it was getting knocked out of the Carabao, you now literally have a whole week to prepare for every game.
Hmm.
So it's probably going to be a benefit come later stages of the season. But yeah, it's a good game, and it makes it more difficult for us coming to your ground next week
Oh, for sure.
because there's a lot to, there's more to your game now, and I don't know. It depends on your injuries because you lost Brennan Johnson, you've obviously lost Perisic,
Hmm.
and listening to the post match, Madison basically said he couldn't continue, not being fully fit. So I reckon he'll probably be alright. But he was like, in a game like this, you can't play when you're not 100%.
Hmm.
So I had to come off. So, which you could argue, if it was a lesser game, he might have stayed on the pitch. If
Yeah.
you so
Yeah, depending on what type of game it was. But yeah, either
yeah,
way, we couldn't risk it, and it would have been detriment to the team. So
yeah.
good, you made the right decision. Get off and take the point, which we did. So
So season still unbeaten, so it's all good for you guys. And
hmm.
moving on to us, who are still
Hmm.
unbeaten. Um, nicely for us, currently still on I think 17 games unbeaten, all competitions,
Mm.
which we're quietly doing, and I'm hoping we can continue to go under the radar quietly. Although we're sitting second, still nobody's talking about us really, and long may that continue.
It's just because Man City have started so well, but
Yeah,
realistically, it right now it's normal service resumes. Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, and Liverpool um, leading the way. Arsenal are going to be there or thereabouts.
yeah.
So it's
You
going
never
to
know.
be.
It might be you guys as well, depending on how it goes. But I don't know, today, performance wise, it wasn't a great performance. As in, oh man, we were so good today. But it was some good performance. No one had a bad game. Like Gomez, I'm going to shout him out again. Gomez had another good game.
Mhm.
Szoboszlai, another good game. McAllister got better, a lot better in the second half. But again, it's like we're just uh, normally. I've watched the game back, and normally when we concede over the last 12 months, it's been like, oh man, we conceded. Like, is it going to fall apart? But I think the good thing about us getting rid of all our midfielders is all those problems are gone with those midfielders.
Mm.
They don't have the same doubts that they had last season. So these
Mhm.
guys, when they concede a goal, they're not worried, they're not panicking. They're just thinking, keep on playing, and we'll get something. Nunez' confidence is up. He's always going to be the guy that misses a chance. You can be like, how did you miss that? Like he did literally 2 minutes before, like a blatant sitter where he could have picked his spot. But then you look at his goal. I mean, the pass from Alexis McAllister is what we bought him for. I mean, to be fair, they gave him so much space. Cause I don't think it's almost
They,
like they didn't
they,
believe he had it in him.
I don't even think it's that. In that situation, it's the only ball that's going to create a problem, and
Yeah,
they just didn't deal
true.
with it. Let's be honest, because one ball
It
over
was
the
a
top
great ball.
is
Mm.
it's a great ball, James. But as a defender, are you going to be vexed at yourself for not dealing with that? Yes, you are.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
true.
going to be.
But the finish,
You're going to moan at your midfielders for not closing them. Why
yeah,
has he
for
got
not
so much
closing
space?
down.
But as a defender, between you and the keeper, you've got to deal with those. It's an
Yeah,
amazing ball, and but Nunes gets in on the defender because the defender's not expecting that ball. And
yeah.
so you got to give credit where credit's due because no one else, apart from McAllister and Nunes responding, like saw that coming. So fair play to McAllister for the ball.
So that was good because then we just upped the levels. I mean, people love to cast Jota, and I say this over and over again. You're not getting fantastic performances out of Jota. What you're getting is goals.
But he
You're
gets
getting,
goals.
yeah, you're getting scrappy goals. You're getting goals when the game is tight and he just nicks a goal from out of nothing. That's what you get with Jota, and I'm more than happy to keep getting that. If I'm completely honest, let his goals keep coming because they're important. As long as his confidence stays up and he keeps doing this, because he's a perfect super sub. He may not like it, but he is really a perfect super sub because Nunes is now looking more confident. Yes, people will be vexed because he misses chances, but his runs, he's holding up play
He's more
better.
of a nuisance, isn't he?
Yeah,
It's a nuisance. Yeah,
it's
he's more of
chaos.
a nuisance
Like,
than Jota is, and that's
God,
why Jota is a super sub right now. Let's
yeah.
be real.
Like I feel sorry for Gakpo. Gakpo still hasn't found the form he ended with last season. Like last season, it looked like he got into his groove and we were like, oh yeah, I can't wait for Gakpo next season. But it's almost like Klopp did him dirty and knocked his confidence when he played him centre midfield in the first 3 games because he hasn't really recovered. He's got goals, the odd goal here and there, but his
I think
performances haven't
he,
really.
he's I think he's trying to fit a square peg into a round hole with Gakpo because he knows realistically Gakpo's best position is either as a winger or as a number 10.
Yeah,
But because
yeah,
Diaz and well, he's not really a right winger, but he would play on the left,
mm,
or and he's played out top as well. But out top, he looks a little bit too. I don't know. The Premier League physically against the defenders,
he's
he
been more
doesn't really deal with
robust.
that so well. Yeah. So I
Mm.
think playing in number 10 role for him is better. But boy, Liverpool are doing their thing. You got like you may think that you're under radar because no one is hyping, but
Yeah,
the same way that Arsenal hadn't started like in terms of their football playing amazingly well, but you've been getting results, and that's exactly what you really need at the beginning of the season, just not dropping points, and you haven't really dropped any points. The first one was against Chelsea, which
and we should
right
have won
now
that game.
looks
Yeah,
bad right
no,
now, but in the grand scheme of it, Chelsea won't be this bad over the course of the whole season. I think they're just
boy,
struggling right now to get like there's a lot of new players in the team, so we'll come to that. But yeah,
yeah.
I don't think you guys are just slipping on the radar here. Liverpool are Liverpool. Everyone knows that you're about it this season.
And Salah once again was I think it's 15 consecutive games with either a goal or assist. The guy is just. I know everyone keeps saying De Bruyne is the best in the league. De Bruyne is the best in the league. I think, in honesty, it's a toss up between him and Salah because Salah gets disrespected. The levels he has achieved and continually achieved over. Yes, he's had some dry spells, but he's a goal scorer. Firstly, but when he started to dry up, it's almost like something clicked in him. Okay, you know what? If you're not going to contribute and getting your goals, then you're going to get your assists, and it's just gone up levels. Now he's literally a double threat. Like you don't before, if Salah didn't score, then people are like, why is he on the pitch? That's not the case anymore. And some of the
Uh,
passes that he makes and the crosses are just almost elite levels ability
But that
of assists.
it almost feels like he's gone back to. I think that first season at
Mm,
Liverpool was the reason why people were on him because no one expected him to be that good that
yeah, no,
quickly. No one thought that he would score 32 goals in the league in at any point, and he does it in
yeah,
the first season. But he had never been that prolific like that before. It was more goals and assists combination. It's almost like he's now learned that he has to be a bit more less selfish because it's going to
yeah.
help the
Because
team.
he was
He was
selfish
selfish,
before.
which is why he had a few run-ins with with Mane in the past. So I think he's learned and he's being more of a team player in that sense. He knows Liverpool need him, and like
It's
right
just turned him
now,
into a better player.
yeah, definitely. But you can't argue with his record since he's been there. It's been amazing to be honest with you.
So for us, I think Klopp has really said he doesn't know the level this team is going to reach, but he's excited about what we've got. I mean, I'll say it every week. Supposedly could be the signing of the summer. I know credit to Madison. Madison got 2 assists again today.
Yep,
So it's the shiny
in a
stuff
big
that you
game as
see.
well.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. It's the shiny stuff that you're seeing from Madison in the big games. But I think for Szoboszlai, apart from the first half last week, he's almost been the best player on the pitch in every game he's played. And for someone that's 22, that's come into the league, that's obviously more physical, it doesn't phase him. It doesn't phase him. He's got strength, he's got power, he's got pace, he's got the passing ability. Yes, because he's creative. there's times where his passes may have come off, but that's what people forget. Like De Bruyne doesn't have high passing percentage rates because of that reason. Because he tries
Same
risky
with
passes.
Bruno. Bruno gets a lot of
Bruno as well.
But he's created the most chances in the league, goal scoring chances, Bruno, and he gets a lot
of. So supposedly week after week he's getting stronger and stronger, and I'm so happy. It's just it's so strange that only us in Newcastle were in for him this summer, and then when you look at what we've got, it's like, how was that even possible?
I just don't think that people really realize the quality, not just the all round game. Like, as I said, I never thought that he would be as disciplined defensively as he has been. Creative, going forward, set pieces, passing, shooting from distance, all of that. I knew that he was capable of that, but just his mentality, the leadership, the discipline. The discipline. That's next level. So you got to give him credit, man. It's like, Klopp's obviously done his homework, and you fair play to yourselves, and obviously you stole him ahead of Newcastle, but yeah, man, fair play, credit where credit's due.
It's going to be interesting to see where we end up, because I'm still not a fan of McAllister playing as our DM. I'm still not a fan of it. I still would prefer
it's not your
long-term
solution. I don't think it's your long-term solution. But I just think it's right now. I don't know if Endo has
he's not ready
hit the ground running yet, so need a bit of time. But
it's actually interesting
right now. Yeah, right now he's what he's rolling with, and it's working because, bro, you're second.
I know. I think what Klopp said was interesting in press conference. He said that Endo is a really nice guy, and he came in a really nice guy, and for 2 weeks that was his problem. He didn't come in saying that DM spot is mine. He came in being nice to everybody, and now he's 2 weeks behind because he now has to demand his playtime. And I thought that was interesting because you never really you don't really see that kind of thing or hear that kind of thing from managers saying, "Oh yeah, he came in as a bit too nice, and that's why he's not playing." So,
bro, in his life, did he ever expect to be playing for Liverpool FC?
So that is the reason. I know.
So he probably was a bit starstruck. He's come, and he's like, "Oh my god, I'm at Liverpool, and I'm just happy to be here." Yeah, I'm happy to be here. But
he did say that as well. He's happy to be here.
Klopp needs him to be nasty because he's a DM, and that's what DMs have to be. Let's be honest. You can be nice when the game's over, but in training and during the matches, you've got to be a tiger, mate. So,
because I know for me, when we play City, when we play Arsenal, and even you, I think we're going to need that in the midfield. We're going to need. I do worry because our game is done. We can move on to potentially, before we talk about the rest of the games, our game against you next week. That's the kind of thing that we might actually need in midfield. Because Basuma's got, like we were saying earlier, Basuma has just turned into the old Basuma. Mm-hmm. He's got the nasty in him. He's got the track back in him. He's got the skills. He's got the braveness. He's almost got the full package right now. Mm-hmm. It's a short sample size, Tottenham-wise. Obviously, we saw what he did at Brighton. But the sample size we're seeing right now, it's like, man, when Bentancur comes back as well.
And a bit more. Yeah, Bentancur's in training now, which is great because having that combination will be amazing.
But Sar's been really good. And they were both on yellow cards quite early as well. And in a derby like that, they both did. I don't think either of them looked in trouble of getting a second yellow card. And the amount of tackles and how physical the game was, that's a credit to both of them. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Next week is going to be... It's another one because no one really knows what this Tottenham team's capable of. And I think it's the same with you guys. You have the same old defence and technically the strike force is the same as you've had. But that midfield battle is where the two teams have...
I think our attack, I think we've got the best crop of attackers in the Premier League.
100%. In my opinion, you do.
And I think that's what's going to push us through.
Yeah, you've literally got 5 players who are all capable of getting a goal at any point in the game. out of nothing. All five of them can get a goal for themselves at any
Mm-hmm.
point, and that is what makes Liverpool so dangerous.
Because Diaz has been great. Like he wasn't the star this game, but he's had a fantastic start to the season,
Hmm.
and I'm excited to see what we could do because you will be our first test. Newcastle was supposed to be a test, and it all got blown out of water
It
because we
was,
had 10
but
men.
but they let you guys back in.
Yeah, yeah,
Realistically,
but
they hit their
I think
foot off
they've
the
helped
gas.
us.
They
They've
did
helped us grow. As in us
that whole sort
getting
of
what we
game.
got. Yeah,
Last 10
some
minutes.
you need that. I think when you're a new team, you need something to galvanize the players and say,
Hmm.
yes, we've done this, and we're not scared of anything anymore. And to do that away from home against Newcastle, the current Newcastle that is, was top notch for me. So, but anyway, we'll move on to the next game because as we did, we just did speak about Newcastle. They've broken a record today with an 8-0 victory away to Sheffield United and 8 different goal scorers. It'll be a brief talk
Hmm.
because
We can't discuss all the goals,
all 8
but there
goals
was
now.
some shocking defending, as there always is when there's a goal like that. But I don't know what's happened to Sheffield United because, as I think you stated it, they've only lost by one goal in pretty much all
Yeah,
their games this
I think
season
it was
that
just a
they've
bad day
lost.
at the office. I think it was a bad day at the office because they've been in every game, and I think it happens sometimes. It's not supposed to like that, but
No,
Newcastle were just
A,
ruthless.
yeah, they
Like they
were.
parted at the Red Sea very often. Sheffield United. I think they even went back. In the end, they said, "Forget it. We're going to a back five." I think they still conceded 2 goals after going back to a back five. So no, it's good for Newcastle. It was a good little win for them, and from my liking, we've played them. So I'm happy because if they play
Hmm.
better now, they can take points of other people. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
So credit to them. Callum Wilson didn't seem too happy at the end because I think they scored 8. He was. I don't remember him missing sitters, but he was like, we could have got more goals, and I know he's thinking I could have got more goals.
Of course, when you have games like that, and I think the same thing when you know you're playing against certain teams, you think I can bag a couple today. If you
Mm,
scored 8, you're as a striker, you're always thinking I can get a hat trick or I can get
yeah,
at least 2 today. And so for there to be 8 different scorers in an 8-0 victory, boy, that's crazy.
yeah,
But it is what it is, man. Sheffield United have to bounce back, and
yeah,
Newcastle, we'll see how if that gets them going because they haven't had a great start in the league.
yeah.
First Champions League game, 0-0 away at San Siro. Can't like
It's a
it
good
wasn't an
result at the end
amazing.
of the
It
day.
was a good result for them for sure, especially in that group of
PSG
death.
next. Wheesh.
Mm,
But we'll move on.
yeah.
So Man City, not much to talk about. 10 men, Rodri, clown, because for now it's like, excuse me, he's gonna miss the Arsenal game, which is not good news for them. And it'll be interesting because it's what will Pep do? Because normally another manager say, okay, it's time for Phillips to come in and show his worth. But you can probably just see him playing someone else in there. No, that's not Phillips, and changing the
Well,
defense to be more sturdy.
I think John Stones is still injured, so he can't play him as DM,
Oh
which
yeah,
I think he
true.
probably would have done.
He
Maybe
might have
Phillips
to
will
play
get his chance
Phillips.
finally, and it's not like obviously he's not Phillips is not Rodri, but he's
Yeah,
also capable of playing
yeah, I
it
think he's a
in
good
that
DM
type of sort of game. He's
personally.
a good player. It's just that for Man City standards, he
It hasn't
hasn't
worked.
lived up to what Pep expects. We don't know what
Mm,
that is, but Pep does, and that's why he hasn't played enough games, and he's told him that. So, judging by the way we've seen Calvin Phillips, how he conducts himself in international football, I don't think that will be
yeah,
too much of a problem. I think it's just that Rodri is that next level above, isn't he's in that upper echelon of
he's elite.
DMs.
He's elite. He's
Yeah.
elite DM. He's probably now a world class DM. So moving on. They won 2-0. Man United got a 1-0 victory. Fantastic goal from Bruno.
and
But
a brilliant volley.
they were lucky. you could say, to get that win. Because there's times where Rashford is just, I don't know what's happened to him again. He's gone greedy all of a sudden, and people are starting to talk. I remember, was it Parker, the former
You're
player?
saying greedy all of a sudden, but
He's probably always been
there's
that way. Yeah,
I think that's been a problem for
yeah,
strikers, which has been highlighted. I've seen a few stats recently about how the number nines who've been playing for Man United's goals
suffered.
have not yet suffered because Rashford is playing on the wing and he's not really someone that gets assists. He's a cut inside and shoot kind of player. He's not doesn't really cross it. Whenever you ever seen it actually cross a ball into the box,
He tried.
very
To be
rare.
fair, he tried this game. He tried link up play with Hoyland, and it didn't quite work out because he's not used to it. He's not used to actually releasing the ball. It didn't quite work out. He got a bit frustrated, started sulking a bit. But anyway, long may that continue because we don't.
They needed that win and they got it. So it is what it is, man. Great goal by Bruno. Fair play to him. A lot of noise coming out of the Man United camp, so they'll take that 1-0.
The last one we'll talk about, just because it's not what we expected, is the Chelsea. Right, we both thought, even after the first game, because they caused us a lot of problems in that first game. I was like, okay, see everybody, they're going to be up for it. And boy, at the moment, was I wrong so far? Because, like you said, when you spoke earlier, it's a new team is just not gelling. I think the biggest problem is how are you going to spend $1 billion, I don't know if it's dollars or if it's pounds that they've done, and you don't have a certified striker. It's just,
bro, they're just unfathomable strikers like that are out here.
Bro, they could have put money out there for someone, man.
But you would have thought, because like based on who is out there, who's actually available,
right,
they have the money to buy someone.
Even if they went and bought Colin Mawani, bro, you're buying someone that's paying for France up front at times. You know what I mean? It's someone that no one's going to say, why are you buying him?
But because he was always going to go PSG, maybe that deal was never there. Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
so because certain transfers happen, but the player ultimately, the clubs go to the agent and find out, is the player interested in coming to our club? And if they're not, then there's a non-starter. So if Kolo Muani was like, PSG after me, why would I want to go to Tottenham or Chelsea or anyone else that is interested? I'm going PSG. It's home as well. So why?
I guess they had Nkunku. Nkunku was there. He's not a centre forward,
he's not
really.
A centre forward either. And Poch plays with centre forward. He wants a centre forward. He's not doing false nine Guardiola business because it's never really been his thing. He's always had someone as a target man. I don't know, man. Like you're right. They didn't buy a striker. That's a problem. Nicholas Jackson has never been prolific. It was to me. I was shocked about the transfer. I didn't really see it coming. And if he gonna end up going to the African Nations Cup as well. So
that's true. That's true because I think they even tried for Awani right at the end of the window as well. Like a few days before they played them and lost to them, they inquired about signing him. But if they sign him, he's going to African Nations as well. So, so even no one would have talked about it, but Boniface, who's doing really well for another Nigerian, doing really well for Leverkusen at the moment. He's another one that I don't know. They had Datro Fofana, but he just wasn't good enough. He's too young. He's too raw. So they sent him packing on loan. But I'm shocked. I thought Poch would have been able to get something out of this.
I thought he would have managed to get goals out of the players in other areas. So Modric, I don't know. Maybe this one was just not a good signing. Maybe he just wasn't as good as everyone thought he was. Like, he scored a great goal against Celtic, but I haven't really seen anything else, if I'm being honest. That's maybe
everything else you've seen is been in his league.
Against youngsters, not in professional, not in senior games. So it was a big risk. I mean, someone must have seen something because Arteta was also asking, and they just got outbidded. So to me, he hasn't really done much. Sterling still, like, he's looked better, but he hasn't been in the month enough.
I've said it from day. I like Sterling, but his Man City goals were tap-ins. He had a couple of screamers from outside the box here and there, but a lot of them were De Bruyne or Mahrez fizzing it across the 6-yard box,
Sane.
him tapping it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they don't have that. They've lost their best strike weapon in Reece James, because if Reece James is there, he probably gets more goals. But their problem is, are they ever going to get a fully fit Reece James? Because right now, Reece James is giving me Naby Keita vibes.
Yeah. And the other thing is, bro, where is their creative midfielder?
They let him go.
That's what I mean.
It was to get. It's weird.
The guys who
I
create
think
chances, they're all gone. And obviously, there was a few attitude problems. People, weren't people like Ziyech and Pulisic. They sold Kovacic, which was the dumbest move.
Yeah,
in my
I didn't get
opinion,
that.
of all.
I didn't get that.
Didn't make
He's not
sense.
really creative, but it's an experience. For me, quality centre midfielder that they got rid of.
100%.
It didn't make sense. And to strengthen Man City at the same time, it's like, oh, come on, man. Seriously? So
Didn't make sense.
it's not a shame, but it's a shock to see them sitting there, because
no one is crying any tears for Chelsea starting this bad. Long may it continue. I don't care. Poch shouldn't have gone there anyway. It's his own fault. No one told him to do that, but that's the challenge. It's the challenge, bro. That's what happens, isn't it? You try to come back to the Prem, and don't go to Chelsea.
They'll find their feet. They will find their feet before
they're not
the
going to be
season's
as
up.
bad. I think he will, if he can get to January and they're in amongst the top 8. They can sign a striker in January, then I think they'll become a problem. But until then, don't see it. I don't even think one striker is enough anyway. For most teams, like Arsenal are looking for a goal scorer. Man United have kind of got Højlund. We don't know yet how good he can be, but he looks decent so far. We need a number 9, because the ones that we're supposed to have.
Well, talk is they're really talking to Tony. That's what the theory is. Mm-hmm. They're really talking to Tony, but he's going to be without football for 6 months.
Yeah. And what is he going to be like? Because he can't even train with.
He's training. He started training beginning of September. He can't play.
That he was okay, I thought he was banned from training as well. I thought he was all football activities or whatever.
No, there's football activities until September, and now he's training. Okay. So, and he's really been told. If you watched the match of the day Monday Night Football last week. His manager said when he plays for a top level team and he believes he's probably going to get sold, then he'll get 25 goals a season. So okay, cool. Well, that's been Armchair Pundits this week. Thanks again, Leon.
All good, bro. All good.
Okay,
we will see how we are feeling next week.
I know. Well, hopefully, you don't lose to your rivals, innit? Or teams that are fighting for that spot. As long as you don't lose.
As long as certain players are not needed on the pitch, we'll be fine. Because last year they gifted you a victory.
I think Nunes is going to be a bit too much for you to handle personally, your guys to handle, and I think Nunes and Salah are going to be the key to our goals. But we'll see.
Indeed,
okay, cool.
We will see.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Continue to subscribe, continue to share, and we'll catch you soon. Peace.
Later.